Bhagavate Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jayanagautam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayantite Nashtaprayeshu Vajreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloki Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita introduction. So where we left, purport by Prabhupada. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informs us that in every country and in every scripture, there is some hint of love of Godhead. But no one knows what love of Godhead actually is. Yeah, actually everybody talks about love of God, but what is love of God? The Vedic scriptures, however, are different in that they can direct the individual in the proper way to love God. Other scriptures do not give information on how one can love God, nor do they actually define or describe what or who the Godhead actually is. So they don't describe actually what is God or who's God. So how to love God? Although they officially promote love of Godhead, they have no idea how to execute it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a practical demonstration of how to love God in a conjugal relationship. Not even in any like father-son relationship or friendly, in conjugal relationship. Taking the part of Srimati Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to love Krishna as Radharani loved him. Taking the part of Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to love Krishna or Jagannathji. Jagannathji is Krishna himself, as Radharani loved him, because he wanted to understand that more. Krishna was always amazed by Radharani's love. How does Radharani give me such pleasure? He would ask. In order to study Radharani, Krishna lived in her role and tried to understand himself. This is a secret of Lord Chaitanya's incarnation. Cannot understand this actually, but this is the hidden meaning, that there were external reasons for his appearance and their internal reason. External reason is always Paritaranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapnarthaya. That's true. But what is the internal reason? This is the internal reason. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he has taken the mood and role of Radharani to show us how to love Krishna. Thus the author writes in the 5th verse, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, who is absorbed in Radharani's thoughts. And how to love, showed us how to love Krishna. And nobody has given this before. Anarpita charim chirat, it says. Anarpita. Nobody gave this knowledge, this mood, this love before. Only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This brings up the question of who Srimati Radharani is and what Radha Krishna is. Actually, Radha Krishna is an exchange of love, but not ordinary love. Not the love they show in TV, serials, movies. Oh no way. Krishna has immense potencies, of which 3 are principal: the internal, the external, and the marginal potencies. In the internal potencies, there are 3 divisions: Samvit, Haladini, and Sandhini. The Haladini potency is Krishna's pleasure potency. It gives pleasure to Krishna. All living entities have this pleasure-seeking potencies, for all beings are trying to have pleasure. So all living entities have this pleasure-seeking potency because it's Krishna's potency. Originally, it's in Krishna. So we also have this pleasure-seeking ideas, desires, potencies. But we look at the wrong place. This is the very nature of the living entity. At present, we are trying to enjoy our pleasure potency by means of the body in the material condition. By bodily contact, we are attempting to derive pleasure from material sense objects. But we should not entertain the nonsensical idea that Krishna, who is always spiritual, also tries to seek pleasure on this material plane. So this is what they show wrongly in the TV serials. They bring down Krishna to our level. No. And they, first of all, they themselves don't have knowledge. Krishna says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. They have to have the knowledge, proper tattva knowledge. And then try to show Krishna or Srimati Radharani in the right way. Then it will give the right message. But since that is not possible, because the director doesn't have knowledge, the producer doesn't have knowledge, the actors don't have knowledge, proper knowledge, and even if they have, it will not sell in the market. So how the producer is going to make money? So they cannot do it. They don't show the right thing. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes the material universe as a non-permanent place full of miseries, the Kalyama Shashvat. Why then would he seek pleasure in matter? He is a super soul, the supreme spirit, and his pleasure is beyond the material conception. He says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. All his activities are transcendental. So why would he seek pleasure in the material world, on a material plane? No way. To learn how Krishna enjoys pleasure, we must study the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we should study the 10th canto, in which Krishna's pleasure potency is displayed in his pastimes with Radharani and the damsels of Braja. And not just coming to the 10th canto, first go in the 10th canto from first chapter all the way to 29th chapter, then 29, 30, 31st, 31. I mean, those 5 chapters, the confidential chapters of Bhagavatam. That's where Krishna's pastimes with Radharani are mentioned to a certain extent, not even to full extent. Unfortunately, unintelligent people turn at once to the sports of Krishna in the Dasham Skand, the 10th canto. Krishna's embracing Radharani or his dancing with the cowherd girls in the Ras dance are generally not understood by ordinary men, because they consider these pastimes in the light of mundane lust. And not just light of mundane lust, they try to imitate those pastimes. They foolishly think that Krishna is like themselves and that he embraces the gopis just as an ordinary man embraces a young girl. Some people thus become interested in Krishna because they think that his religion allows indulgence in sex. This is not Krishna Bhakti, love of Krishna, but Prakrit Sahajya, materialistic lust. And that is definitely not Krishna Bhakti. That's not what Shukdev Goswami taught in Srimad Bhagavatam, and definitely not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught in Chaitanya Charitamrita through his pastimes. And one who mistakes Krishna's pastimes is definitely going to go to heaven. To avoid such errors, we should understand that what Radha Krishna actually is. Radha and Krishna display their pastimes through Krishna's internal energy, spiritual potency. The pleasure potency of Krishna's internal energy is most difficult subject matter. And unless one understands what Krishna is, one cannot understand pleasure potency of Krishna, which is Srimati Radharani. So unless one understands who Krishna, what Krishna is, means in Tattva, we cannot understand Radharani, the pleasure potency. Krishna does not take any pleasure in this material world, but he has a pleasure potency. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna, the pleasure potency is within us also, but we are trying to exhibit that pleasure potency in matter. We're trying to find pleasure in matter. Not possible. Krishna, however, does not make such a vain attempt. The object of Krishna's pleasure potency is Radharani. Krishna exhibits his potency as Radharani and then engages in loving affairs with her. In other words, Krishna does not take pleasure in his external energy, but exhibits his internal energy, his pleasure potency as Radharani, and then enjoys with her. Exhibits his internal energy. But at the same time, there is, see, exhibits his internal energy means, it can mean, from our understanding, that Krishna manifested Radharani. But there was no time when Radharani did not exist. And just like it is also said, energy and energetic, non-different in the spiritual world. So internal energy, non-different from Krishna himself. And especially in that, the pleasure-giving potency, Ladani Shakti. It's not just like, although tattva-wise, yes, it's a potency, but the potency and potent are non-different. What's the meaning of potent Krishna without potency? Nothing. That's why it's very hard to understand. So in other words, Krishna does not take pleasure in this external energy, but exhibits his internal energy, his pleasure potency as Radharani, and then enjoys with her. Thus Krishna manifests himself as Radharani in order to enjoy his internal pleasure potency. Of the many extensions, expansions, and incarnations of the Lord, this pleasure potency is the foremost and chief. So Prabhupada is trying to give some idea of who Radharani is. First, that's very difficult to understand. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is much more difficult to understand. It is not that Radharani is separate from Krishna. Radharani is also Krishna, but there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. Without energy, there is no meaning to the energetic, and without the energetic, there is no energy. Similarly, without Radha, there is no meaning to Krishna, and without Krishna, there is no meaning to Radha. Because of this, the Vaishnava philosophy, first of all pays obeisances to and worships the internal pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. Because the Lord and his potency are always referred to as Radha Krishna. Similarly, those who worship Narayan, first of all, utter the name of Lakshmi as Lakshmi Narayan. Similarly, those who worship Lord Ram, first of all, utter the name of Sita. In any case, Sita Ram, Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, the potency always comes first. Because without the potency, there is no meaning of the source. In Chicago temple, when Prabhupada installed the deities, so he gave the deities name Kishore Kishori. So devotees asked, Prabhupada, you always say Radha's name should come first, but why here she's at the end? She's at last. So Prabhupada said, oh, we saved the best for the last here. Oh, God, yeah. See, Vaishnavas are who are devotees of Vishnu Tattva. So any Vishnu Tattva, they are just generally categorized as Vaishnavas. And the devotees of Krishna are actually called Karshneya. Karshneya. But who are called the devotees of Radharani then? They are Gaudiya. So Gaudiyas are devotees of Radharani, the servants of Radharani, not of Krishna. Now you're saying we all the whole Bhagavatam we talked about Krishna, Bhagavad Gita we talked about Krishna. Now you're coming to Chaitanya Charitamrita and you're switching the sides here. Because this is how we have to understand where Gaudiya Vaishnavism is taking us. That's special. Very, very special. We worship Krishna. Of course we worship Krishna. All the temples are deities of Krishna. But we worship Krishna because he is very, very dear to Srimati Radha. Radharani loves him. We are servants of Radharani, so obviously we're going to serve Krishna. So now we have to understand which path we are at. Huge, huge difference. Because we take shelter of Srimati Radharani actually. Radha and Krishna are one. And when Krishna desires to enjoy pleasure, he manifests himself as Radharani. But that doesn't mean there was no Radharani before. Because she was always there. The spiritual exchange of love between Radha and Krishna is the actual display of Krishna's internal pleasure potency. The spiritual exchange of love. Every word is very important and he thought of a spiritual exchange of love. That's not material at all. It might look like material, but there's no materialism in there. The spiritual exchange of love between Radha and Krishna is the actual display of Krishna's internal pleasure potency. Although we speak of when Krishna desires, just as when he did desire, we cannot say. Just when did he desire, so we cannot say. We only speak in this way because in conditioned life, we take it that everything has a beginning. However, in spiritual life, everything is absolute. And so there is neither beginning nor end. Yet in order to understand that Radha and Krishna are one and that they also become divided, the question when automatically comes to mind. So they are one. This is what Prabhupada is trying to explain, but they become divided as two, Radha and Krishna. When did they divide? They're always two and always one. There's no question of when they get divided. When Krishna desired to enjoy his pleasure potency, he manifested himself in the separate form of Radharani. And he wanted to understand himself through the agency of Radharani. He united with Radharani. And that unification is called Lord Chaitanya. This is all explained by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj in the 5th verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this unification as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because when Krishna took the mood of Radharani, Radharani covered him with her body, the color of her body, means Radharani herself is there. It's not the mood of Radharani separate from Radharani. It's all one. And we'll come to this topic of when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to South India and meets Ramanand Rai. Actually, we had made a full plan, detailed plan of going to South India. And we have gone to Tamil Nadu part, but not Andhra and Telangana part. So there is a place, Rajamundri, where Chaitanya, at the banks of Godavari, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Ramanand Rai. So in spiritual world, Ramanand Rai is Vishakha Sakhi. So over there, Mahaprabhu, who is Radha and Krishna, meeting Vishakha Sakhi, there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him darshan of, after wonderful conversation, gave him darshan of Radha and Krishna. So Ramanand Rai was seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then he gave him darshan of both Radha and Krishna separate. It just when Ramanand Rai saw that, he just fell down unconscious, in ecstasy. Because nobody had seen that before. Mahaprabhu didn't show it to anybody. Radha and Krishna separate. And then they again combined and became Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the next verse, the author further explains why Krishna assumed the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna desired to know the glory of Radha's love. Why is she so much in love with me? Krishna asks, what's my special qualification that attracts her so? And what's the actual way in which she loves me? Why she loves me so much, and what's the qualities in me that attracts her love? And what does she feel? What kind of happiness she feels when she loves me? It seems strange that Krishna as the Supreme should be attracted by anyone's love. A man searches after the love of a woman because he is imperfect. He lacks something. The love of a woman, that potency and pleasure, is absent in man, and therefore a man wants a woman. But this is not the case with Krishna, who is full in himself. Thus Krishna expresses surprise. Why I am attracted by Radharani? And when Radharani feels my love, what is she actually feeling? To taste the essence of that loving exchange, Krishna made his appearance in the same way that the moon appears on the horizon of the sea. And actually, there is also the question of when he says, what's my special qualification? Or what's my, okay, to understand special qualification, if Krishna had thought, my beauty attracts Radharani. So Krishna knows his beauty I didn't want to say, use the word certain extent, he knows to the fullest extent. But to see the same beauty through the eyes of somebody who loves you, that's completely different. If somebody sees himself in the mirror, oh yeah, I'm very handsome and charming, or this and that. But to see the same thing through somebody's eyes who loves you, that would be completely different. There would be some more addition to that beauty. And that's what Krishna did not understand. What is it that she sees? How she sees me? And for that matter, for that purpose, he took the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To taste the essence of that loving exchange. Krishna made his appearance in the same way that the moon appears on the horizon of the sea. Just as the moon was produced by the churning of the sea, by the churning of spiritual loving affairs, the moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Wow. Just as moon was produced by the churning of the sea. So we read that in Samudra Manthan Leela in Bhagavatam, moon appeared. So by churning of the spiritual loving affairs, or the spiritual loving emotions, the moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And that's why he appeared on Purnima day. Indeed, Lord Chaitanya's complexion was golden, just like the luster of the moon. Although this is figurative language, it conveys something of the meaning behind the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very, very deep, very deep. Not easy to understand. But this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, as you said, can I ask a question?
Yes, Mata.
Okay. As you said right now that it is very difficult to understand Krishna and Srimati Radharani, of course, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's very difficult for me as well to understand. But You said to Krishna want to know how much Radharani loves him, and he want to experience that. That's why he appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So
There were
Krishna knows.
three reasons.
This is one of the reasons you gave.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons. Yes.
Yes, yes. So as Krishna knows everybody's heart, everyone's heart. So why Krishna means it's like some confusion. Why Krishna must be knowing what? This is my doubt, Prabhuji.
This is where he fails. And also this shows the glories of Srimati Radharani. Her love, her feelings for Krishna, her mood of service for Krishna is so great, so great. Even Krishna doesn't understand. She's his internal potency. There's no difference. This is what Prabhupada is trying to say. There's no difference between Radha and Krishna. In one way, they're one, but at the same time, they're separate also. And that's also one of the reasons when people say, no, God is a man. No, actually, God is Radharani. She is way beyond Krishna, actually. But in the mood of love, she's always in the mood of service to Radha Krishna. I hope it's clear, but it will get more clear as we go along.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very good. And also many times, Prabhupada tried to warn us not to go to the 10th canto and especially the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But here, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, there'll be so many pastimes of Radha and Krishna explained. And Prabhupada never said, don't read Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it just, and he had explained all those pastimes in Krishna book. And he always recommended everybody to read Krishna book. We start from verse number 1 and keep going, and Prabhupada will make sure the philosophy is clear. So when we come to those passages, our consciousness is properly situated when we are reading those passages. That's all. Chalo, okay, I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.